By virtue of the powers vested in me, as Vice-Chancellor, I hereby constitute this congregation of the University of the Witwatersrand for the conferment of degrees and granting of diplomas and certificates. Welcome to this virtual year-end graduation ceremony. Greetings, students and graduates, parents and friends of the university, and guardians of those that are graduating today in this virtual ceremony. As you all know, ideally you would all have been here, but given where we are with regards to this current cycle of waves, we thought it best to do it virtually in line with our COVID safety protocols. However, I'm honored to be addressing you today on the occasion of your graduation from this prestigious university, one of the top 1% in the world. Your commitment and persistence has paid off. You are now part of a group of illustrious vets equipped with world-class education, second to none, that will undoubtedly open many doors to you. For almost 100 years, this university has nurtured intellectuals and innovators, scientists and researchers, some of whom have gone on to win several global renown and prizes, including Nobel Prizes. Some have gone on to make great discoveries and originate and solve original problems. We have produced problem posers and problem solvers, activists and artists, critical thinkers and thought leaders who punch above their weight in the world. Today, you've become a member of this illustrious class. Because of the effort and with the support of those that were behind you, have given you, you are now equipped with the necessary academic, research, and professional education to reshape your future and the future of your family, our country, our continent, and the world. Coupled with the skills, both hard and soft, that you've learned outside the classrooms, the networks you've developed, your curiosity and your desire to change the world for the better, you now have what it takes to be a good leader you were always meant to be. A Vetsi at heart and a Vetsi indeed. You are our future leaders, and you present hope in these troubled times for us all. Vetsis have had a disproportionate impact on our world. Working with you and through you, you have stayed true to our mission focus of the 3 core areas as VETS transitions into its next century. Developing excellent graduates who leave their mark on society. Secondly, conducting world-class research and fostering innovation. And finally, using your location, our location in the economic heartland of Africa to lead from the global south. These 3 pillars will need to be underpinned by a renowned commitment to the principles of VETS's core values. I urge you to hold dear the values of this great university as you journey through life. Some which you might remember are: remain curious and advance beyond your comfort zones. Ask questions of everyone and everything. Think critically and independently, and hold those in power to account. Value intellectual excellence. Be resilient and adaptable whilst being a socially active citizen. Celebrate the diversity of people, places, and ideas. Foster democracy and cherish humanity. This ceremony represents a fortuitous moment of hope and inspiration, an opportunity to chart a new course that can propel us into a new beneficial world order which will be good, for public good, for the good of all people, for the good of future generations, for the good of our country, our economy, and for the good of an inclusive community, for the advancement of our society. We will look to you to help us as we launch into our new century of existence next year. We will continue to harness our intellectual resources for good. We will continue to foster the development of excellent graduates who advance society, foster the creation of a research culture which contributes towards evidence-based solutions to all our global problems. We will continue to foster innovation and lead and use our location in Africa to lead from the global south. In closing, please allow me to once again congratulate you, your family, and your loved ones on your momentous achievement. This day is yours and represents the combination of your hard work and dedication and resilience over the years. Remember this moment, savor it, as graduation is an important milestone in your life that will change your life forever. Well done and Godspeed. Candidates will be presented for degrees, diplomas, and certificates in the 5 faculties: the Faculty of Commerce, Law and Management, the Faculty of Engineering and the Built Environment, the Faculty of Health Sciences, the Faculty of Humanities, and the Faculty of Science. In terms of the statutes of the university, I confer degrees on the persons whose names appear in the graduation program.
Mr. Vice-Chancellor, I call upon the Acting Dean of the Faculty of Commerce, Law and Management to present candidates for degrees, diplomas, and certificates.
Mr. Vice-Chancellor, as Acting Dean of the Faculty of Commerce, Law and Management, I have the honor to present candidates for degrees, diplomas, and certificates. Family, friends, graduates, on behalf of the Dean and the Faculty Executive, let me take a minute to applaud each and every one of our faculty graduates. The world has witnessed horrific pain and anxiety over the past 2 years. We've gone from lockdown level 5, a situation where we remained isolated from our friends and neighbors, to level 1, but with a new highly contagious variant of this awful disease. And up and down levels in between. While last year was the fear of the unknown, this year many people have been personally touched by COVID as loved ones got infected and it became more personal. I'd like to take time to remember all those who lost their lives over the past year and all those who struggled with death and illness of friends and family. But I also want to celebrate our amazing graduates. Throughout all of this, you've managed the last 2 years of your studies through rapid transition to exclusively online teaching and all the challenges that came with that to finalize your degrees. You've handled the adjustment to being away from classmates and lecturers and relying exclusively on digital interaction very well. Many of you have achieved this while simultaneously helping out at home, dealing with unreliable connectivity, and taking care of your families. You are our leaders. While the staff across the university worked tirelessly to move all our teaching online, we could only do so much. At the end of the day, it was the individual students, those of you graduating today, who made the transition a success. But let us take a moment to remember those students who could not complete their studies in the time they would have liked to, those students who had to take care of families, were overwhelmed with stress and depression, who lost loved ones, had to deal with increased unemployment in their immediate circles. Your success today says a lot about you, about your grit, about your resilience, but it equally says something about the resources you had to get where you are. So if one of those students who were lucky enough to have stability that included regular meals, a supportive family, Wi-Fi, and emotional support last year, I encourage you to recognize this privilege and share your gratitude with your loved ones. COVID has indeed changed the way we see the world, the way we think about our place in it. Already we are exploring new ways of being and thinking of how we capitalize on good things that came out of this awful pandemic. But there were also some positives, a greater awareness of the struggles of small businesses and people who rely on each day's work to make it through, the entrepreneurial spirit that saw people step into gaps that were created from society's needs, the expression of a spirit of Ubuntu that encouraged all of us to check on not just our loved ones, but also on our neighbors and fellow students and colleagues to find ways to give them support where we could. Graduates, I hope you harness that goodness and the excellence that is a vet's degree to go out and build a better world. While many people continue to be surrounded by sadness and deprivation and helplessness, at the same time, we must see that we have a unique opportunity to reset. This is a time to build better, more caring communities, to strengthen businesses to survive in times of unseen crisis, to protect our natural resources, and to build economies that are more equal and inclusive. You've already overcome one of the hardest challenges you are ever likely to experience in your life. I expect your future will be so much easier to manage. Take everything you have learned over the past few years, and particularly your experience over the past 2 years, and go and build a better future for us all and for the future generations. Congratulations. Mr. Vice-Chancellor, as Acting Dean of the Faculty of Commerce, Law and Management, I have the honor to present candidates for degrees, diplomas, and certificates. Doctor of Philosophy, for a thesis titled Inventory Dynamics, Asset Prices and Business Cycles, and supervised by Dr. T. Mugoka and Prof. C. Malikane. Mr. Vice-Chancellor, I have the honor to present Sejiro Aaron Alovopiknou. For a thesis titled The Adaptation of Mumvuri, The Shadow on the COPS Belief System for Change Management in Corporate Organizations, supervised by Dr. C. Maye, Richard Gwauza Chazuza. For a thesis titled A Theory of Virtual Culture Formation and supervised by Dr. T. Kamikael, Moblessing Margaret Chitondo. For a thesis titled Reframing Artisanal and Small-Scale Gold Mining as Livelihood Strategy and the Role of Law in Constituting Livelihood Assets, and supervised by Professor T. Field, Maxwell Chuma. I present John Onua Emmanuel for a thesis titled Ethno-Religious Identity and Infrastructure Distribution in Southeast Nigeria, supervised by Dr. Mila. Katonya Emily for a thesis titled Enhancing Access to Justice in Kenya Through Clinical Legal Education by Professor M. Duplessis. Limo Anna, thesis entitled Financial System Stability in the East African Community, Prospects and Constraints, supervised by Professor K. Oja. Masia Mamelo, for a thesis entitled An Exploratory Evaluation of Human Resources Analytics as a Strategic Human Resource Competency, supervised by Professor O. Samuel. Masiapato Nakambe, for a thesis titled Deriving the Ideal Citizen-Based Participatory Monitoring Model for Empowering Dormant Communities in Vembe District Municipality, supervised by Dr. K. Wotela. Modiha Pulane for a thesis titled The Underrepresentation of Women in Executive Management Positions in the South African Banking Sector, supervised by Dr. R. Hone. Mokhotsi Belinda for a thesis entitled Philanthropy and Lean Thinking in Response to Disasters in Southern Africa, supervised by Professors P. Alagidit Dede and Dr. F. Sarushera. Mudau Tanyani for a thesis titled The Use and Impact of Business Intelligence Systems in Management Accounting, an Empirical Study in the South African Context, supervised by Professor Cohen and Professor Papagiorgio. Ndebele Godfrey for a thesis titled Mechanisms to Generate Sustainable Development Through Multilateral Lending, a study of the BRICS New Development Bank, supervised by Dr. Horn. Nelufule Livuani for a thesis titled Knowledge Management Design and Implementation in Two Government Departments in South Africa, supervised by Dr. C. Abrahams and Dr. G. Gotzel. Bekale Ngwema Audrey for a thesis titled Studies on Derivative Usage in the Banking Industry, Evidence from Selected African Economies, supervised by Dr. J. Mensah and Professor P. Alagidede. Njau Daniel for a thesis titled Earnings Management and Performance of Seasoned Equity Offerings in Select African Securities Markets, supervised by Professor C. Chipeta. Njenge Yandisa for a thesis titled Influence of External Funders on Social Enterprise Business Models, a causation effectuation exploratory study, supervised by Dr. T. Kamikael. Nkunzi Sibulele for a thesis titled Is Ethiopia a Developmental State? An Inquiry into the Emergence of Domestic Capital in Complex Industrial Sectors, supervised by Dr. N. Pons-Vignon. Omos Abbas Promise for a thesis titled Cognitive Affective Motivation Factors Influencing International Visitors' Loyalty to South Africa, supervised by Professor T. Enning. Vanishri Pillay for a thesis titled Bicultural Life Experiences and Career Orientation of South African Indian Women Engineers, supervised by Dr. J. Gobind and Dr. Z. Ndaba. Pointer Rebecca for a thesis titled Political Communication in Three Inner City Johannesburg CBOs, titled, supervised by Dr. D. Miller. Power Elizabeth for a thesis titled Giving Effect to the Right to Participatory Democracy in the Area of Socio-Economic Rights, supervised by Professor M. Peters. Poaka Oliver for a thesis titled Sources and Outcomes of Grocery Retailer Brand Equity, a study towards a unified brand equity model in the South African grocery industry, supervised by Professor Da. Rawani Kamel for a thesis titled Questioning Inclusivity in Post-Apartheid Johannesburg Public Space, supervised by Dr. C. Abrams and Dr. C. Kane. Okofu Sebastina for a thesis titled Virtual Airtime Purchase in Nigeria, Consumer Attitude, Behavior, and Continuous Usage, supervised by Dr. T. Enning. Mr. Vice-Chancellor, reading of Master of Commerce. Abraham Matthew Beku Isam Esuf, Brooks Lee Taylor, Kasim Shabier, Clothia Adil, Crouch Lyndon Andrew, Davids Tariq with distinction, Dlamini Vukile, Gwagosis Linekela, Govinda Tamara, Gyuthiu Yogo, Georgia, Gumede Wendy, Hans G. Kashmira, Ishmael Shad, Jacobson Lori Tasmin, Janse van Rensbeck, Karo Kal, with distinction. J. Siviwe, Khan Mosin, with distinction. Kiloran Robin, with distinction. Lahut Sherin, Maisela Lungile, Mohamed Suhail, Mashile Rilibochile, Masikane Sipiwe Janet, Matumba Charles, Mazibuko Qiniso, Mbeti Noluvuyo, Mdlovu Nosipho, Mkize Githoliseni, Mohlala Kholihlahla, with distinction. Mushai Precious, Naidu Shanolan, Ngema Ndokozo, Ngongoma Buhlebakhe, with distinction. Nyanin Gigi, with distinction. Pelo Papi, Dimitri Peterman, Rajkumar Rahul, Sbande Kolile, Siyo Zinhle, Sprate Sebastian, Tiflin Tanya, Virasami Dylan, with distinction. Von Willich Gita, Williams Nebraska, Wasman Caroline. Mr. Vice-Chancellor, now reading Master of Economic Science. Mbata Numpumelelo Precious. Mr. Vice-Chancellor, now reading Master of Laws. Adham Orazia, Banda Nico, Bonongwe Taf, Daramola Adesui, Deep Nikita, Fleming Bettina, with distinction. Halim Dayan, with distinction. Kirtland Tequin, Likokotla Buhle, Lindsay Tracy Jane, Machiriza Helga, Mark William Emma, Makado Michelle, Malahle Mbuyiselo, Managa Pumutso, Marot Tristan, Masiamoyo Nomakosi, Mbele Tando, Mokwako Tsireletse, Moyo Kosilati, Mtimkulu Busisiwe, Muchulizi Jacqueline, Mutomba Takutswa, Muzorori Doreen with distinction, Ndaleni Kolisa, Ngove Ngove Penny, Nduli Luyanda, Worsdeisen Ferli, Rousseau Johanna, Syed Amina, Siboza Nelsi, Smith Sophie, Tso Tricia, Uzochoku Obina. Mr. Vice Chancellor, now reading Master of Management. Chadambuka Rumbitsai, Chetty Kailen, Dilio Lucinda, Khopane Onkimetse, Mawai Nari, Maimela Joyce, Matsumunyane Molupe with distinction, Metla Newo, Mahangwani Kristen, Nyandu Nozipo, Mokalane Mapula, Moraka Musi, Moyo Nodumo, Mtembu Richard, Mulamula Chitsembiso, Nechivumbe Muketwa, Nsalong Keng, Khadebe Maliwa, Sherini George, Tima Mukatla, Chisela Zizo. Mr. Vice Chancellor, now reading Bachelor of Accounting Science, Honours. Mokatlane Meta. Mr. Vice Chancellor, now reading Bachelor of Commerce with Honours. Blankulu Rulani. Keisa Marike. Kulu Ndoda. Leroux Chat, Ngoi Benita, Oliphant Boitumelo, Pillay Mishka with distinction, Silimela Modiei, Sikowe Oratile. Mr. Vice Chancellor, now reading Bachelor of Economic Science with Honours. Madolo Sinazo, Mampane Kamugelo, Maningi Panashe, Mchunu Zimbali. Mr. Vice Chancellor, now reading Bachelor of Laws. Domune Chivika, Lioma Boitumelo, Matlocha Dineo, Naka Rumbitsaishe, Nosilela Miso, Ngobo Vumile, Zingeya Miles. Mr. Vice-Chancellor, now reading Bachelor of Accounting Science. Abe Peace. Dieb Lawrence. Dioki Sanam. Mthethwa Hlakanipho. Ndlovu Bongani. Ndlovu Spesihle. Spellman Kamvaletu. Mr. Vice-Chancellor, now reading Bachelor of Commerce. Balakin Igo. Francis Dariro. Godin Cassidy. Kumalo Nondumiso. Mabaso Sicelwe Sihle. Mabukela Penyo. Mabvaru Mariana. Makeleni Ziko. Marimane Hlengiwe. Mashishi Oratile. Mbele Nontle. Mhlane Naledi. Mitin Richard. Mukhosi Molesang. Nes Quintin. Netengwe Konani. Nkwana Francis. Sarang Khalil. Sewana Shakwaneng. Sileho Arifa. Sitole Kluvuko. Mr. Vice-Chancellor, now reading postgraduate diploma in accountancy. Lipatsi Mukona Zwote. Matikana Luyanda. Mahlangu Katane. Mativa Hulisani. Mdladla Ayanda. Ngobo Tembeka. Mhlapo Fanyana. Nsibande Luyanda. Punguzwa Sihle. Rahman Muhammad. Veil Din. Mr. Vice-Chancellor, now reading postgraduate diploma in law. Cele Duduzile. Dlamini Nobathembu. Dubula Bambo. Kati Thandeka. Makhohlo Stanley. Marumwache Motsiotsile. Machazi Makawe. Nkosi Lindokuhle. Sekwana Malebabo. Mr. Vice-Chancellor, now reading postgraduate diploma in management. Benham Veronica. Buffel Victoria. Dlamini Nontsikelelo. Duma Thandeka. Dutwoit Ilze. Lakei Adrian. Lipolo Kananelo. Lombard Christophel. Lushozi Flora Innocentia. Matsuta Farelo. Magala Nomgcobo. Malika Basil. Mangena Boitumelo. Macho Jim. Matumona Yori. Mavandu Chifuluchefelwe Godfrey. Mazibuko Zanele. Mbatha Sibonakaliso. Mdladlamba Saneliswa. Mishi Simbarashe. Mhlongo Thokozane. Motong Donald. Motong Tabiso. Ngwengwe Nonkululeko Fortunate. Molife Atlihang. Molife Mamolikaliko. Mochweni Petile. Mutanabula Mboniseni. Ramfate Samon. Ramone Tebucho. Samson Kagiso. Shen Lingyu. Shiri James. Sibanda Lulamile. Sibanda Miriam Ziwachi. Spellman Vuyiswa Ndlumbini. Stephens Kansas Kansile, Vilakazi Bonginkosi, Zungu Duduzile. Mr. Vice-Chancellor, now reading for postgraduate diploma in public management. Chibade Evans Retsin, Mapurisa Lindelwe, Mkotyana Clementina, Kweni Sandisiwe, Ramoshaba Telma. Mr. Vice-Chancellor, now reading postgraduate diploma in taxation. Mabunda Sibongiseni, Nhlapho Ntomfikile, Boyana Luvuyo, Sisusa Yolisa. Mr. Vice-Chancellor, I now present Master of Business Administration. Tlamulo Paloi, Eugene Brink, Vasim Karim, Dibier Ricardo, Chomkhou Chohuahuni, Doti Mamelo, Dan Darrell, Fail Mohammed, Ganasram Amith, Jidari Sumish, Gilika Laruna, Govinda Prinola, Shabati Katikani, Jacobs Jeff, Kasiamuru Iris, Khanaka Khomutso, Korte Mode, Lipan Quincy, Maifufi Marang, Mahale Joas, Mahafula Kilibohile, Manabalala Machidiso, Masemula Floyd, Mashaba Constance, Matli Masechaba, Matsafu Kositsile, Bele Nosimilo, Shanga Sylvia, Mhlongo Kanya, Mystery Karishma, Messi Lisotla, Muloke Kositsile, Muholi Bonolo, Mohotu Tato, Mukobi Zamaswazi, Mosese Manchisana, Motia Mosa, Mutebe Likata, Charlie Sandile, Mtungwa Muzi, Munsami Perumal, Mushuku Tatenda, Muchinya Patutsetso, Naga Nivesh, Ndlovu Flako, Nechesaulu Fatuani, Nkatsane Dwanano, Hlapo Simon, Gomo Greater Man, Nku Ipeleng, Noche Tebujo, Nukia Printha, Nomalo Malbongwe, Pabu Pravie, with distinction. Peter Skle, Kwelane Nomsa, Ramagondo Vumbani, Ramone Nsitile, Rantau Samuel, Ridi Prebashni, Runyowa Leonard, Ruzon Chidi, Sitei Zondre, Shai Gift, Shiraz Ahmed Azima, Siweya Langutela, Sokela Cleopatra, Sono Oscar, Timothy Tsepo, Tswai Konoto, Tsolekile Sesanda, Venter Natali Kaba Sitabiso. Mr. Vice Chancellor, now reading Master of Management. Basa Nahim Dlamini Itumeleng. Exna Nikita Gongo Pumelela. Greater Darrell Jacobs Penelope with distinction. Gaji Ahmed with distinction. Kemp Elmada, Knowles Sharon, Kola Manditi, Coral Elana, Korf Ena, Mabiala Nakunia, Makuva Munzetsi, Mashele Amukelani, Melamane Gobisa, Mhlongo Tutuka, Mindu Nkululeko, Mkonza Glory, Mgadi Letinjabulo, Mofgeng Senzi, Mokufa Kitumitse, Mosehlane Chehofatso, Msimanga Mengei, Mutitambi Luvengo, Mutwa Lerimpeha, Naidu Hemendri, Ndlovu Fanisa, Ndlovu Lebuhang, Ntlangoti Laki, Olanusi Olabode, Oliphant Daniela, Otukile Morin, Pardesi Sabika, Pelane Elsie, Ramarou Ivy, Ramukumba Ndivuo, Salifu Shaibu, Singh Amith, Taylor Andrew Allen with distinction, Tandrai Sumentri, Torul Slay Mahindran with distinction, Fisahi Marne, Zuma Bushle. Mr. Vice Chancellor, now reading Master of Management in Entrepreneurship and New Venture Creation. Bukula Sanelis Siwe, Karim Shakira, Governor Ramona, Harilal Tainita, Jordan Brigitta, Laka Mitesh, Mavimbela Chwene with distinction. Sekwere Maluela, Luyanda Tela, Tsengi Ralebuhile. Mr. Vice Chancellor, now reading Master of Management in Finance and Investment. Andris Lydia, Paloi Cabello, Libepe Busisiwe, Leting Albert, Mapasa Tlamulo, Makomana Malsin, Masole Mbako, Masole One, Matthews Mark John with distinction, Mbele Sabelo, Mbulana Aliko, Mgeta Charles, Mukhodi Kitumetse, Mokashi Mushibudi, Ndima Zanele, Ngipandua Valentina, Payne Laki, Pulo Adam, Shube Tembelishe, Smith Gavin. Mr. Vice Chancellor, now reading Postgraduate Diploma in Business Administration. Alexander Lin with distinction. Fatima Ali, Aswati Ranjit, Avanasigen Tharishni, Becker Gerard, Biela Andile, Bose Mashia, Carls Kesten, Chiquira Lloyd, Chinji Cuthbert, Cornelius Janine, with distinction. Dibete Libuchang, Dierenge Philomena, Dladla Nokulunga, Dlamini Zamokwake, Dongola Konanani, Dube Spamandla, Farid Zakia, with distinction. Lubanza Freddy. Harane Achumile, Kodongwana Atengosi, Hores Sungur, Govinsami Thiesha, with distinction. Gozo Elegance, Guavava Memory, Hadebe Lynette, Haripeshad Lucille, Hoped David, Hendrix Clint, Jitem Anissa, with distinction. Khalake Trevor, Kosa Remember, Klizani Kinen, Kunene Londiwe, Kunene Nobile, Kwenaite Chileng, with distinction. Kairiazis Anastasios, with distinction. Lala Dipa, Lihong Tato, Liopeng Karabo, Lipoto David, Litswalo Shamila, Maurohanye Neo, Mabuza Neltin, Macheru Millicent, with distinction. Machika Frida, Madi Kodani, Mahadewo Zain, Mahlapa Midas, Maila Kompang, Maimane Moipone, Maisho Patutsetso, Makaula Nonsigelelo, Makomboti Dutuko, Makubela Niko, with distinction. Malile Tebucho, Malumane Khasane, Maluleke Rulani, Marcelo Kehilwe, Masheho Nontetelelo, Mastela Liketso, Masotwe Yaliwe, Matabata Nape, Matukane Sandile, Mazwi Babalwa, Mchunu Lungile, Mdluli Dumazile, Meta Darmel, Milanzi Kenneth, Minyuku Moli, with distinction. Mkabela Nomtandazo, Mkwanazi Ayanda, Hlobisile Mbali, Mngadi, Mnyani Siphelele, Moahi Tsepo, Moate Violet, Mwerane Vincent, Mokwakwa Charlotte, Mokine Tefo, Mukwena Manyakane, Mukwena Mashukela, Mukoka Itumeleng, Molebatsi Mpo, with distinction. Muloi Josia, Munobe Digeledi, Mudli Kishen, Mudli Kochilam, Motsukunyane Namsha, with distinction. Moyo Mandiraira, Msibi Jacqueline, Muchinche Nadia, Mukwa Lavelesani, Munyai Mashudu, Mupona Calvin, Musarakufa Mubatsiri, Mqinwa Tandikaya, Ndlela Lindiwe, Nechifire Ndicheni, Ngobo Sabelo, Ngukaitobi Nosipho, Ngubane Zamabomvu, Nkwashu Laki, Nkopane Likotolo, Nkosi Mduduzi, Ntebe Hlumela, Nxumalo Sfiso, Odame Frederick, Pulua Fatuani, Pungula Octavia, with distinction. Pretorius Gerard, Khadebe Nokuzola, Ramakupa Chinolo, Ramsarup Prishen, with distinction. Renkin Christopher, Redgard Sean, Sandenberg Hercules, Sikele Khulufelo, Sikasimbe Makura, Sinosi Patricia, Shezi Melusi, Sbanyoni Sfiso, Sibisi Nkosing Pile, Sibia Nompumelelo, Skakane Sizwe, Sithole Patrick, Sithole Poncho, Sithole Sbusiso, Smith Henry, Somi Zimasa, Swanepoel Handre, Tai Ntinti, Thon Ridwen, Tikane Tapelo, Tile Sibahle, Tseka Libukhang, Chabalala Jabulani, Chavungwe Chifiwa, Chezi Tandeka, Tsweleng Tebucho, Vadwala Ridwen, Van der Lende Theodore, Van Veek Robert, Fassad Pierre, Vilakazi Cindy, Fesser Hercules, White Kailum, Kheko Amos, Zikalala Zanele, Zulu Busisiwe. Mr. Vice Chancellor, now reading postgraduate diploma in management. Pere Yanano, Dibie Sebastian, Itumeleng Uriratile, Jason Roxanne, Kioini Rita, Mabunda Zandile, Masango Mpo, Mukhotsi Chakofatso, Mukobane Edzani, Nussbaum Tamara, Nzimande Bongiwe, Silva Estin, Sleba Velem, Takala Josephine, Tamaha Tsiko, Volberg Divoran, Zonke Mika Teko.
Colleagues, graduates, and guests, this concludes the proceedings for today. And now, by the virtue of the power vested in me as Vice Chancellor, I hereby dissolve this congregation of the University of the Witwatersrand. May the congregation rise.
Ihele Good day, Chancellor, Vice Chancellor, members of our esteemed senior executive team and academic staff, and a special greeting to our graduates and viewers joining us remotely for today's graduation ceremony. In no version of our world ever did I expect to be participating in a graduation ceremony in which our renowned Great Hall was not packed to the brim with graduates and their loved ones. Graduation is the culmination of your academic journey and a time to recognize and celebrate the enormous amount of hard work and dedication that you have invested into your education. It is exceptionally unfortunate that I cannot address you in person. With that being said, please feel free to leverage the power of technology and social media and post some pictures and videos of how you are celebrating your graduation with all COVID protocols in place. Do not forget to use the hashtag #VITSI4Life. My name is Stacey Lee Bolon, and I'm the president of the WITS Convocation Executive. Convocation is a body established officially under the university statutes to represent graduates of the university, as well as the registrar, full-time permanent members of the academic staff, professors emeriti, and retired staff. I would therefore like to take this opportunity to welcome you, WITS graduates, as the newest members of our convocation. You have now officially joined the ranks of some 200,000 members of WITS Convocation. Membership of Convocation is free and gives its members unique privileges, which includes, for example, nominating the Chancellor of the university. Our Convocation Executive mandates that the Convocation Exco discusses and states its opinion upon any matters relating to the university, including matters referred to it by Council, allowing for the views of this body to be represented at the highest levels of governance of the university. Convocation acts as an official channel, allowing members to convey to the university management their views about the university, and thus forms a vital link between the university and the global community in which it operates. This is, of course, of vital importance as the long-term reputation of our university impacts the value of the WITS degree in the market. Graduates, in your hand you hold the great gift of education. May I implore you to use your knowledge, your degree, to the best of your ability in pursuit of fulfilling your life's ambition. Today you enter the world as a graduate from one of the greatest universities on the African continent. You enter into a world filled with many challenges, but a world that is also filled with limitless possibilities. May you meet all the challenges and opportunities that await you with pride, drive, passion, innovation, social conscience, and positive purpose. Now that you are a WITS grad, please remain responsible. Whilst we certainly focus today's attention on our newest grads, it is also fitting to recognize those that have helped our grads through their academic career. Many of you have been supported financially, and it is likely that all of you have been supported with a great deal of encouragement. I would like to extend recognition to your loved ones, mums, dads, gogos, umkulus, and everyone else that has supported you through your academic journey. Please take the time to include and celebrate your achievement with those that have supported you. I would also like to spend a moment and extend thanks to the WITS academic team who have dedicated their time to teaching our future leaders. Thank you. Last night, you would have received an email to your student email address. Please ensure that you check this email and complete our graduate exit survey and provide us with your updated email details. This survey will take you about 5 minutes to complete and will assist in informing university policies and plans. I look forward to checking out social media to see how you're celebrating your graduation. #VITSI4Life. Please remain in contact with us. Follow us on social media platforms and join us for discussions, debates, and updates on LinkedIn. Wishing you the very best of luck in your future pursuits. We hope that you make us proud. And whatever you do, just remember, you got your edge at WITS.